Welcome to the episode 2 of the Dynasty Podcast with myself and my co-host, Thai.
Oh, hello.
Thai, go ahead and introduce yourself and whatever else you want to add on. Socials, anything?
Hi, it's me, by me.
Welcome
But
to episode
yes,
1.
welcome into episode 2 of Dynasty Podcast.
All right, so we are going to discuss basically what they had in the Hearthfire Tales AMA event that the community managers and the devs basically had. It was supposed to be an event that kind of removed the barrier between the devs and the players, where the devs would answer questions that usually only they could answer, and not what the community managers themselves would have the authority to answer. So, Thai, you want to kick us off with the first question?
Sure. So the first question is, how many servers are there going to be on when OBT opens? And yeah, that was some news that I heard last week when it first was announced that people were saying that there was going to be like 100 servers. So people were very concerned about that.
Yeah. I think from what they're saying here, so let's go ahead and read the answer to this one, and then the next one I'll read the question. You can read the answer.
Okay.
So the answer to this one, how many servers on the first day of OBT? They said, we deeply understand that our players desire a world full of fellow adventurers, cities where merchants thrive, and friends to mischief and mayhem with. We are on exactly the same page about this matter because we ourselves are gamers after all. So they are kind of like conveying that they understand our perspective, so that's kind of good. However, after reaching the CBT limit in less than 20 minutes and seeing the pre-registration number going up every second, we realized that we must do something about it, for the reason that we want no lag and no login queues to spoil your journey in Midgard. Therefore, we deployed enough servers for your arrival. Also, to clarify, when Villager A, our developer representative, mentioned 100 servers in the event, he meant that we had prepared up to 100 servers. We are not going to open all of them simultaneously though, and we promise to take serious consideration when opening up new ones. You have every reason to be disappointed in us before we clarify this miscommunication, but now we would like you to put your faith in our experience, confidence, and dedication to serving you adventurers. What do you think of this one? Of this answer?
Well, I can understand everyone's concern about that because that's one of the reasons why a lot of people kind of quit the other servers. And so I think in the long term, a lot of people are worried that if there's so many servers, how is it gonna survive if everyone's spread around? Because there's a chance a lot of people will obviously quit within the first month or so. But I also understand, like, because there were so many applicants for CBT, that they would want to be prepared with so many servers in case, like, they're not sure how many people will actually sign up when OBT opens, but it's better to be safe than having, like, everything crash.
Yeah, the major issue that people would probably experience here is not so much the people that are coming in like solo. I think for the most part, the issue that people are having or are going to have is I'm not sure if you ever tried out New World when it first opened, but they no, yeah, but
No.
so basically it was like kind of like the same situation that they were having right now, where they're going to open some servers, let's say like 10, and then it's going to fill up really fast, and they're going to start opening up new servers after those first 10 like open up really fast. But the problem starts with the fact that a lot of people bought Nyans already in CBT.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what that's gonna do now is that they have to be really, really careful what server they go into when
Yeah.
OBT starts in like early April, right? So
Yeah.
for people in the same guild that are trying to get into the same server, if that server locks, they're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And historically, whenever this happened, with the most recent one in history being New World as an MMO, it actually caused a lot of guilds to collapse before the game even started. Because, in my own personal experience, what happened was we had a full guild of 150, but the problem was there were only limited servers in the beginning, and all of the servers filled up within 5 minutes or something like that. And what happened then was, in this server that we had chosen, we all tried to log in within the first several minutes of the game, and some people couldn't log in until they got out of work. And what happened was, instead of the 150 people that we were supposed to have, we ended up with 17.
Oof.
So if that could happen to a big company like Amazon, I'm not sure what, or if there is any possible solution that they could do or provide. The
Mm-hmm.
only ones that I can think of maybe is allow people to change servers for free,
Mm-hmm.
like they did in New World Fresh Start servers, because they obviously, like, they eventually learned how to resolve that issue. But besides that, the only other thing is maybe merge servers every month as soon as they like start to decline in population.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a huge problem.
So like in your experience, like what do you think? What do you think they can do?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they're probably thought about that. Hence why all the servers, but also it is kind of tricky because everyone's gonna be so scattered, and there's not like a guarantee that everyone will be on the same server as like other guildies or friends like they were planning to, because whenever there's always a launch, things tend to not work out smoothly.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure. Like we can always just hope that they have something planned, but at this point I'm not sure. Like
Yeah. There's just
it could be either it could go either way basically.
yeah. There's just this inherent issues that you're gonna come across with releasing. I think it would actually be better to just release all 100 servers, and or like, you know, instead of 10 at a time, because it would be more cost to them, but at the same time, at the very least, it's more likely for big or more like organized guilds to get in as soon as possible.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's really not a lot of solution that I could think of to alleviate that issue. I know before Ragnarok Eternal Love, what they did was they just had mega servers with a lot of channels, which is something
Mm,
that I'm not sure if it's possible for them to do. But I think if it's possible, that would be the smartest thing that they could provide,
yeah.
or yeah, or at least be allow people to switch server transfers.
Yeah. Cause yeah, but I agree, like because you don't want your player base to be so spread out too. And then if people can't like be with their friends or guildies, there is a chance a lot of people will just like be very upset at the game devs for even spreading everyone around.
Yeah, and it would. I mean, historically, it just causes quite a bit of guilds to collapse before they even start. Right? It's very
Mm.
hard to organize 100 something people, which I'm sure like a lot of big guilds by now should have more than 100 people, already. Like ourselves, we have around like 200 people already, and not everybody might stick with the game. But at the same time, trying to organize 200 people to be on at a specific time, to
Yeah.
logging at a specific minute one is going to be rough.
Yeah, because everyone has different schedules. And yeah, it's just a very tough situation and very, like, I'm pretty sure, like, it's fair for a lot of people to be really concerned about, like, if things on global will go smoothly because of this, like, issue.
Yeah. Hi, what do you think of taking one question in every time before we move on to the next part of the
Sure.
yeah. So the most recent one I see here with MMOzard has a question saying, with so many Ragnarok games, what's the lasting period of ROO? I actually have an answer for this one, but I'm more curious as to what you think. Thai.
Gosh. Okay, well, I played on the North America server for, it barely hit its like 1 year anniversary last October. And
October, November.
it's
Yeah.
like slowly kind of fading, I feel. Like they had to get to the point of they finally merged servers, which I feel like they should have done long ago because the player base was kind of dwindling. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there are like, the thing is like Gravity does release a lot of like renditions of Ragnarok. And but I don't know, something about ROO, it feels a lot more close to classic RO, which is why I stuck to it for so long. But the issue I found was because of how spread apart updates were.
Mm-hmm.
It allowed a lot of people to like stop playing because they were tired of waiting. Like so much of the player base quit before WoW even came out,
Mm-hmm.
which was like a big part of the game, obviously. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have like some hope for that global will be better,
Mm-hmm.
based on like how transparent a lot of the devs are and also like the aspects of the game. But with, I think with any game, they'll always have like their like core fans that will stick to it
Mm-hmm.
if they enjoy it enough. But I would say I feel like ROO has lasted a bit longer than some of the other Gravity games that they've just been like throwing out there, because it does have like aspects of it that are like memorable and fun to actually play.
Yeah.
But I also can't say like how long it'll last because based on North America server and like hearing about Korean server, like player base kind of did like drop a bit over time.
Yeah. So my answer to this was is and this is I don't know, I'm not sure if you can call this like a hot take, but uh this is gonna be a very polarizing answer, but I think that it will definitely be the longest lasting one. Couple of things which we'll tackle later on in the podcast as well is number one, PC client.
Mhm.
NA is not gonna get the PC client. That already makes global better than NA. Number two, the global audience with the inclusion of Southeast Asia not needing VPNs, with
Mhm.
everybody not needing any VPNs, is pretty insane.
Yeah, that's
Anybody,
very true.
yeah, anybody with any type of familiarity with Southeast Asia and Ragnarok Online knows that RO is huge in Southeast Asia. As somebody who grew up in Southeast Asia, I know I've seen it firsthand, and I see it to this day. Not only that, but the plans that they have in place when it comes to basically what they're saying, international, huge, like big tournaments like they used to have with Ragnarok. Remember when they used to have the
Yeah,
Ragnarok World Championships, and then they
yeah,
had there's talks of regionals as well, which we'll discuss later. But there's also talks of regionals that definitely any type of game that has a competitive scene will always have an audience and will always have a certain level of popularity. It's going to be really hard to beat that. And the fact that we experienced that, number one, Global has a PC client, NA doesn't, Korea doesn't. Number two, despite playing from the West, I've experienced zero lag, zero latency issues, is also huge, because that would have been the make. I believe, like, besides the schedule, the latency would have been the make or break for me, but that didn't happen. Have less lag here than I do in NA, so and that I think answer. I believe that would be answer that question of the longevity of ROO Global specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah, those are good points that you brought up.
yeah,
Because that's like the global client is one reason why I know a lot of people on NA like were upset about it and are looking forward to playing on global. And then like you said, that players all around can play global, so it doesn't like make the population smaller. It's rather large instead.
mm-hmm.
So more people and more chances of people staying to play.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is true. All right, so we'll proceed to the next question, and then after we finish discussing this next question, before we move on, we'll answer somebody else's question after that. So I'll read the next question, and then you can read the answer. Right? So let's see. Number 2 by King Ceylon. Will there be job balancing? Ooh, this one's a hot topic.
So the answer that the devs gave was balancing the performance of each class in both PvP and PvE is always one of our primary goals to improve your endgame experience. It is, however, a long-term task that requires our dedication and your support. To achieve that, we will constantly be collecting feedback from you, analyzing player statistics, such as class population, win-loss ratios, match histories, etc., then making adjustments to deem necessary and helpful. We also plan to open a Discord channel specifically for you and us to discuss the in-game classes. Together, we can make ROO a better game.
Yeah, so I'll start this one off. I think this is huge. The fact that the criteria they have for analyzing player statistics being not only class population, which is going to be humongous, there might be some saving grace for Lord Knight lovers eventually. Win-loss ratios, which would dictate how to balance the meta. Match histories. If they, I mean, I'm pretty sure they can gather up and kind of simplify the data from the match histories. That would also be a huge plus to the balancing that they're supposed to be making, because then when you find out each class's win-loss ratio with the match histories plus the win-loss ratios with certain compositions, then you can really start to pinpoint which classes to target for buffs or maybe nerfs even. But I think that's a really good move. The whole together we make ROO better game, making a Discord channel specifically for players and devs to discuss in-game classes is, I think that's it's a step in the right direction at the very least, because in NA I feel like we never felt heard, and this is something that would actually help communication between players and the devs. So looking forward to this one.
Yeah, like it's like a big claim, like, it's something that we can hope for that they will like follow up on. And the thing is, like, hopefully they can like do these things that they're claiming, because yeah, like you said, on NA, very rare that we had them listen to changes that we wanted. It wasn't until like maybe like a few months later that they tried to like fix Lord Knights, but it didn't really work out so well regardless.
No.
But yeah, so high hopes that they like follow up and do what they're promising, because yeah, like a lot of classes sometimes do need, balancing.
Yeah, I firmly believe that as well, because the fact that Lord Knight has been so out of the meta since, I mean, basically the inception of ROO is it's kind of crazy. So let's hope that the people who do love the class actually get to play the class and not feel useless in War of Imperium.
Mhm.
Yeah, because even the people who spent, who spent like in the five digits in US dollars had little to no impact in WoW, and that feels bad even more so for the the free to play players.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for like people who like love a certain class and then just to be like lumped into a corner of like not being able to do anything.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. Let's see. I guess we only time will tell when
Hmm.
they decide to make any updates. I know they've made some updates in Taiwan already to kind of like better Lord Knights in general, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
So I mean
hopeful.
that's yeah. I mean that's pretty much like all we can say about that for now. For now, unless
Mhm.
you have anything else to add. No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll take question before we move on to the next topic here. Okay. Anybody with questions here? If something, if you can answer something like quick, we can take on more than one. Alvin asked, "Do you think Gravity will release trans classes such as Gunslinger, Star Gladiator, Super Novice?" I think we both kind of know that this is kind of likely, right? Because we already saw the Gunslinger class in game. It's part of the story.
Yeah, that's true. The main story there is a gunslinger, but we can't play a gunslinger.
But we can't play a Gunslinger. They give us a they give us like a taste, and they just never spoke about it ever again. But
Yeah, but we can be hopeful for it since they barely released Stalker not too long ago.
yeah,
And that's like the last of the main classes. So maybe hopefully moving forward they will release.
yeah, for sure. And somebody asked, "Do you think having a strong skincare routine will help me to grind longer and more effectively?" Most of this game is auto, so what do you think? That you need a strong skincare routine?
Well, because it's
Skincare?
auto, you can get a nice skin routine because you can be resting while you're doing your CT.
True, exactly. Be be efficient with your time. And then
Mhm.
any other question? I know somebody asked how to get the costume that we're wearing right now. It's from an event. And Mozart says the UI seems to be cluttered. Can it be dropped down? Absolutely. And let's see. I think that's I think that's it for now. So let's move on to the next question. Thai, you want to read
Right.
the question for me?
So, question 3. Well, it doesn't look like a question. It just looks like just a statement. It says ROO Roadmap 2023. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So person who asked it pretty nonchalant about it, but they actually gave a pretty good answer to this question. They said 2023 will be a splendid year for you and a challenging yet meaningful one for us. There is a series of significant updates on the way. Significant updates, and here are some confirmed ones. Take note, confirmed. So the devs themselves confirmed this for 2023. All of the 2 to 2 jobs, all the way to soccer, will be released in
Wow.
2023. So I mean, we have 9 more months in 2023. So this is gonna be the 2 to 2 jobs are gonna be released way faster than in NA. And then this
Hmm.
next one really confuses me a little bit. All third jobs, did they mean like the transcendent jobs? Because as far as we know, like what third jobs mean is Rune Knight, is like Guillotine Cross, is Archbishop, all that. But is that what they mean? I know there have been talks of third jobs coming out to Rue, but
Yeah, like
this is
unsure what they mean by third jobs.
yeah, Rangers and all that. So I'm not sure about this one. We might need some further clarification on this one.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
because I don't think not even
nope.
KRU has it yet.
Yeah, it's just been in discussion, but we'll see.
Hmm.
Maybe they haven't been mentioning anything about it because they want to release it all at once instead of like staggering it, which would offset the a huge offset in the balance when it comes to like PvP PvE. But yeah, the next one though, this is probably the one that I'm most excited about. Number 3, 4 major leagues and on-ground esport tournaments. So 4 major leagues. I'm wondering if each major league is going to be specific to regions, like a major league in NA, a major league in EU, a major league in Southeast Asia, a major league in another region. But and then on ground esport tournaments, I would think that pertains to probably Ragnarok Origin World Championships. That would be the only thing that I can think of that would be worth the investment and the advertisement to pull people to come to those events. Let's see here, and the next one after this one is the first ROO expansion. They're calling it tentatively the Nyan Realm. Name is yet to be decided, they said, and we are looking forward to hearing your thoughts about these updates in our Discord tavern. So Nyan Realm, isn't that the what's that place called in RO1 again? With all the
with all the cats.
with all the cats. Yeah.
I forgot the name.
Yeah. So if they and I want to go back to the number 3 again, the 4 major leagues and the on-ground esport tournaments. I am almost certain that you will not be able to bring your own characters into these tournaments because then it would just be run by whales.
True.
I do believe that they will follow the same format that they did with Ragnarok World Championships and all the other regionals, where they would give you a pre-made account with everybody having the same resources and having everybody being able to decide what gear and what cards that they would equip, and have that be the deciding factor of these tournaments instead of like everybody bringing their own account and the balance is going to be really wonky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make a lot more sense.
Yeah. But yeah, what do you think about like all the other ones in here, like all 4?
Well, first of all, the all two jobs like within the year is pretty impressive because on NA we had to wait like quite a few months for most jobs to release, and we're finally going to get Stalker within I think like next month in April, end of April. So like the fact that they're moving along pretty quick, I feel like that also will help in player base staying, because a lot of people quit because they were tired of waiting for their class. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's a already impressive claim. And then yeah, the major leagues thing it reminds me a lot of like classic RO. Yeah. Just like showing how much they're putting into the community, basically.
Yeah, because if there's any game that has a competitive scene, basically has a better shot at because in order for a game to have a competitive scene, it has to have the population and the audience to make it profitable, right? So if they have full confidence, which they should, especially since now this is hugely involving the Southeast Asian community, it would be profitable. It would have enough eyeballs that sponsors would actually be willing to cough up the money for this. But yeah, this is all huge. Especially we don't know quite yet what this Nyan realm is going to be. How different is it from R1, and what can we do in that area?
I'm curious what it will be though, because there's only so much that they can add so far in the game. So I'm curious what they're gonna add in addition with Nyan Realm, like that's different than like adding a new map or something.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that they have all this content that they can build off of already. The world building is pretty much done for them in RO1. So it's just implementation now and execution that they have to worry about. So that's something that we can really look forward to when it comes to these expansions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like with all these roadmap plans, it's like looking hopeful for global, like that they're putting all this thought and hoping to reach these goals with for their community.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I always have to compare it to NA because it's all I know. It's a lot more that this community seems to be putting, or these devs seem to be putting out into the community. Like the fact that they have like the major leagues and all. Like we did get cross server competitions on NA, but nothing like as huge as like an on ground esport tournament.
Hmm. Not even close. Not even close. No. And also, yeah, I mean, NA was basically like an abusive relationship, and and then you see global and it says like, wow, I could have had it so much better. It's basically what
Yeah,
it was.
basically. For now,
For
that's how
now,
we're, a
for
lot of us
now,
see it.
yeah, you know,
We can only hope that the devs like continue being like
as transparent as they have
good
been.
to us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And but yeah, so that's that so far for that part of the question, right? Like we can move on after
Hmm.
this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. So actually, I'll let you choose the question we answered this time if you want.
Oh gosh.
If you guys have any questions, go ahead and post them up on the chat, and Thai will pick and choose any amount or any which one she deems worth. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know if I have a live update on your YouTube questions.
Uh, Chuck said, no question, just hello, Thai. And MMO Zard asked if the esport does happen, what would be a first, that would be a first at least for a mobile MMOs. Only Black Desert Mobile did something like that before. Okay, so it's not more a question, it's more of a statement. Let me see. Oh yeah, AJ asked, are they planning to add couple systems soon in ROO? I believe in RO1 there is a couple and child system before or after the release of Jotunheim. What? Yeah, up to you if you want to answer that question.
Oh, I don't know. I've had that question asked before. Like, I've had people on our NA server be like,
Mm-hmm.
wonder if we were gonna get like marriage or child adoption, but it has not happened yet. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean they already have the NPCs in Frontera, so very possible, very possible. And also, Tommy said, "Do you think time zone is a problem?"
Mm. It could be for some people.
Yeah, I agree. Even NA time zones were an issue for NA people. So, I
Yeah.
think
So yeah, like there are people that are on the East Coast, and a lot of the NA events were at night, obviously. But for them, that's like midnight.
yeah,
So there's a lot of people that were on the East Coast that seem like excited to have like events in the morning
like
versus
me,
like having to stay up extra
like
late.
me. Yeah. Remember when I used to stay up till 2 a.m. just to rank
Yeah,
top to rank one in the Veins event, and then they just never
yeah,
gave me the rewards? Yeah, I remember.
yeah. Yeah. Time zone can be an issue. It depends.
Yeah. But yeah, we can move on to the next question here. Let's see. So the question is, well, not more so, not a question, more so like a statement. But question is rebate details question mark.
Oh god.
Oh, that's a long
Oh,
one.
do I have to read all of this?
You don't have to read the rebate rules. I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
so their answer was, your concerns have been noted by us. Adventurers, please accept our belated apology for not clarifying the details of the CBT rebate event.
You can skip out the rebate
See.
rules.
Alright.
Yeah.
So the rebate ratio. Let's see, please hear us out. Why the payment to score ratio isn't 1-to-1. The payment standard of the rebate event was designed based on the exchange rate base between USD and THB, which was and is still around 1 to 35. Exactly the same in-game ratio. We didn't realize that the exchange rate between different currencies would cause you confusion. For that, we sincerely apologize.
The rebate method, we already discussed that earlier. First character that you create under the same account that you're currently using during CBT will get the Yon Berries, which is that's problematic. I would say.
Yeah, like especially with like what you brought up is the server. Like you have to be really careful where
Mm-hmm.
you start.
Mm-hmm. And then you want to read that last part of the. I think that should be relevant. Yep.
Okay, please note that the purpose of our CBT is to test the payment system, enhance server stability, and locate various bugs and issues. Players who participate in the CBT have been suffering bugs and unoptimized features, yet they still take their time to help us improve the game. So the rebate is never served as a promotional tactic, but purely as compensation for those who contribute.
Okay. Yeah. Testing your payment system. I can kind of understand that. That would be a huge issue if their payment system wasn't functioning correctly, which we found out with any other country besides Southeast Asian countries. We all had issues with payments, and especially buying the VIP stuff. You can't really get it unless you go do some like roundabout way of purchasing them. But yeah, good that they're tackling that issue, and good that they know that they have a lot of bugs and unoptimized features that they have to fix. And you know, like they said last time, they bug fixes are being done and going smooth. So let's hope for a clean OBT open.
Yeah, better to catch everything now
Mhm.
than later.
Yeah, so that's there's not much to say about that, but just pretty much just like hope that all of that is true. So let's go ahead and pick another question here. The most recent one I see here, given that this is global, as they claimed, what do you think is the future of the other earlier servers, KR, NA, and Taiwan? I think Taiwan will be fine because Taiwan has their own audience, and if they don't want an English version of the game, that's fine. The issue starts with KR and NA, and I do believe that they will slowly but very surely start to die out because of the fact that KR and NA don't even have the proper resources to have their own PC client right now. And I'm not sure if they ever will. What do you think, Ty?
Yeah, I agree. Like, because I'm already seeing it on NA. Like, a lot of people are shifting over to global, and a lot of their NA characters, they're just kind of just playing more casually for now until the OBT opens. So we actually this week, because it affected me. But so my guild, one of the guilds one of the starting guilds. So Panda like officially retired, because a lot of the main group is moving to global. So that's a big PvP guild, and it was kind of bittersweet seeing them like officially retire. So yeah, like based on that, like there are going to be people who have spent a lot of money on NA that are just gonna stay there because they invested a lot, but they had to merge servers because I feel like a lot of people are moving to global
Oh yeah.
because they do are like I think some of the reasons is because they are hopeful that like the devs will care a bit more, and other than like wanting more competition. But yeah, so I don't know, NA right now feels kind of weird.
Yeah, NA
But it
and
is kind of
KR.
slowly dying. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people have refunded and officially said that they would move to global too. So
It's not just Panda either. I believe any remnant of Dynasty is moving to global as well, and not only that, but the smaller medium-sized guilds like Akatsuki and I believe Neverland are also moving over to global.
Yes,
That
yeah.
we know of. You know, those that's pretty much like the ones that we know of so far. And Zen asks, "What's your opinion on the fact that global version mobs have buffed HP and defense? I just saw Mace Kobold, a level 86 mob, have 270k HP, which is quite insane to me." Regarding this one, I feel like that is normal because compared to how NA and KR were before, when they kept the same mob HP prior to all the new updates, we never had the guild skills, we never had the titles, we never had the feathers as well, and the statues and all that. So there's a lot of sources for damage out right now that NA just never compensated for because NA is NA, and same thing with KR. There's really not a lot of resources allotted to them, so it's safe to say that they just don't have enough resources, and a lot of the resources have been allocated to global. Because honestly, if I was running a business and I saw the same numbers that they're seeing, I myself would invest all of my resources to global. In all honesty, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Thai? That increased HP and defense of mobs compared to the previous versions.
Yeah, like Fatty mentioned, so we're starting off with just ROO 2.0 as they called it uh on NA because they added feathers and statues, so it shifted how like PvP and PvE worked.
Mm-hmm.
And so since we're starting from the get-go on global with the ROO 2.0, and I feel like it makes sense that mobs have like higher HP because we do get more resources from like things like feathers and statues to help us with our stats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. So there a lot of the changes to more than make up for the added defense and HP. Defense doesn't matter all too much, but because you have guild skills that would actually negate the added defense that they have, and you have skills that completely negate those defensive stats, and you have a lot of damage added on to your character that would more than make up for the increase in HP that they have. And then the last question before we move on is MMOzard. What would be the incentive for a new player to join ROO? I would assume that you're probably asking somebody who's never played the game before. The incentive for new players to play ROO that have never played ROO before is probably if they've thought of playing Ragnarok 1 before, but they were kind of late to the party. So this would be the closest thing and the most populated game of the title. And not only that, I believe the main poll that ROO has is people who are fan of like anime MMORPGs, and you know, basically the things that ROO has always been popular for, which is like the outfits, the headgear, the back gear, and all that. All these other options. This is not even close to what we currently have in NA right now. So there's going to be a lot more of these coming up. But the community aspect of RO has always been its main point. A lot of players, most of the time, they just log in just to hang out with their guild. So that's
Yeah.
off the top of my head. That's what I can think of. But I know there's a lot more out there that I might be able to answer.
Well, I feel like some people that start ROO, at least like from what I've seen on NA, they were just curious
Mhm.
about what it's about. I think especially because global has all this hype around it
Oh yeah.
right now. Like someone who has never heard of ROO, maybe they might have heard about this global server via a friend.
Mhm.
So I think curiosity might be a thing, but
Yeah. There's a lot of hype behind it right now. A lot. So
yeah.
yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next question, if you don't mind reading it for me, Dai.
Uh, Okay. Will players in other regions be able to top up freely since this is considered a global server?
Oh, okay, so this kind of like we'll skim through this one because this has kind of been answered in the previous questions
Yeah.
already. So they said definitely yes. So if you're in NA right now, like we are, and you're having trouble topping up, then you're gonna have those fixes by the time OBT comes out. And the next one after this one is, when is the final date for OBT?
The answer for that they gave is the exact date is still to be announced, but if everything goes smoothly, the day will come sooner than most of you expect.
Hmm. Most of us expect, huh? So I mean, I think it's pretty common to everybody now that what we expect, or the date that we expect, is the tentative date that's on the App Store, which is April 6th. So we all know that quarter 2 starts in April, and my guess is that the earliest day that they could possibly launch is maybe April 1. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for them to release the game end of March, because I would
Yeah.
assume that they would want to maximize their earnings on on quarter 2 by starting on April.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's really all we can say about that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it always just excuse me. It always just depends on how smooth things are going in the background.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, what's the next question we have?
Next question is, will there be any special events for holidays or seasonal events?
Their answer to this is yes, of course. We'll have events specifically designed for the C region. If you feel inspired, you are more than welcome to submit your suggestions regarding in-game or community events to our moderators and team members. Again, they're showing their clear communication channels to the community here, and I mean, they're saying events specifically designed for the C region, and we've seen this in RO1. A lot of Southeast Asian country inspired zones, like
Mm-hmm.
Ayutthaya, or like Diwata, which is like Philippines, for example, and pretty much like every Southeast Asian country out there for the most part. So that's at least that's my thoughts on that. I'm looking forward to what they're going to bring in terms of that. What about you,
Yeah.
Ty?
I always enjoy seasonal events because
Mm-hmm.
it means we get new cute outfits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. Because yeah, C region has like celebrates a bit more than like what NA has, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that whatever seasonal or holiday events they do, they kind of like spice it up, I guess. Like
Yeah.
because there's a lot of repetition with events a lot of the times, but
Yeah.
I hope they do
Yeah.
different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did have. I mean, it was pretty much one of the main complaints in NA was like repeated events over and over. It's the same event cycle every single time, and we didn't really have a lot of variety or
Yeah.
a lot of changes that we received. So let's see. Before we move on to the next question, let's try to pull somebody who asked something in chat right now. Let's see. Project said, would it be better if they just make War of Imperium with a level required participation and makes all balanced, like just pure PvP spenders and non-spenders the same damage, and all just in WoW time? I mean, that basically means balanced PvP, which honestly I am all for. I think it's the fairest way of doing it, but then again, for a mobile game, you kind of don't want to piss off your whales, because for the most part they are a lot of your revenue. So
I
I
think it also
don't
might be
think,
kind of hard to do
yeah.
to like separate.
Mhm. Because I remember Black Desert Mobile did something similar with their PvP. Like their PvP arenas were, for the most part, were pretty balanced, but when it came to castle sieges, that was the one thing that they didn't touch when it came to balancing. That was the one thing that they didn't try to balance.
Mm.
So historically, most likely not going to happen. And then last question we were gonna pick up here is by Evan Mozart. Could a solo player successfully do everything in the game, or is joining a guild necessary?
Oof. Yeah, I think this game well, it's like an MMO, so it's definitely pushing you towards partying because there are a lot of things that you really can't do alone. Like, you need minimum like 3 players to summon DB and BBs and do Helheim, and then there's the weekly like extreme challenges where you need a team.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, so if you want to do all the events and like maximize getting your rewards, then you definitely need a party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, RO has always been about the community, so you'll have your solo players here and there, but for the most part, they've kind of doubled down on that with Ragnarok Origin from RO1, where they put a lot more emphasis into community building, because that has always been the strong suit about RO, is that a lot of players, like I said earlier, a lot of players will log in just to hang out with their guild. All right, so we can move on to the next question here, and let's see, Roy. I'll answer your question after this next one that we're gonna read. So the next one is the drop rate free to play friendly?
And their answer is yes, the drop rate will be free to play. First, there will be rate up events with a 300% increased chance. Second, we'll expand the reward of MVP event to the top 10 teams instead of just the rank 1 team. That's actually pretty nice, the last bit.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. I mean, the 300% increased chance not doesn't really matter too much for whales, because they will just start rolling card gacha. But for free to play players, because here's what 300% increased chances does. Not only does it give free to play players a higher chance to drop cards, but because of the way that the card pity system in the game functions, any increase in rate will actually make your card drop pity progress go up a lot faster. So a 300% increased chance basically means that your card pity drops increases by 300% by default. So that is huge for free to play players. This event, this drop rate event, is 100% for free to play players. So this one I'm really happy about.
Yeah.
And the second one will expand the reward of MVP event to the top 10 teams instead of just the rank 1 team. Whereas, okay, so before it would be, if you're an MVP, you would get the highest chance, you get the best stuff. Now it's going to be expanded to 10, which I think gives free to play players a much, much bigger chance to get all the good rewards. Because if you remember, Thai, there used to be a legend in the Deviling server called I'm Your Savior, who was completely free to play.
Oh, yeah.
And we confirmed this. Completely free to play, but actually reached the highest MVP goal before any other whale could in the game. And if he can do that as somebody who's completely free to play, I think it's safe to say that getting MVP in ROO is also a skill thing.
Yeah.
And from rank 1 to top 10 teams means that if you still don't get it, I mean, maybe you just need to get good. is what they're basically
Well.
is basically what that means. For me, at least. For me, I don't know about you, Thought.
Well, I'm actually happy to see them say this for the MVP thing, because so when NA shifted to 2.0, they mentioned like how we would have teams like a new team system. And I originally thought it would be similar to what they're saying from Global, where it would be like the top few teams getting like a chance of the MVP like reward. And like we do have it where teams get rewards for participating still, but it is still just like the rank 1 team only getting like the full rewards. So seeing them say that it'll be top 10 teams for the this MVP event. That's actually really nice for
Mhm.
free to play people.
Yeah.
Because it gives more people chances versus just one team.
Yeah, that's it's already looking pretty good for free to play at the very least to start off with. Before we move on to the next question, I know Roy earlier asked us if do you prefer just 4 castles in WoW or more? Honestly, with global, open up the pay on castles.
I
We're
know.
we're gonna need more than 4 castles because this is because and the reason why I say that is because every castle actually has a cap of how many people can enter it. And with the global population, 4 castles are gonna get filled up so fast that it's going to become very problematic. Because you're just gonna have people who just can't participate. Maybe half your guild can't even get into the castle. Like who knows, you know? It's like let's say you take the castle, but only half, or maybe like 1/10 of your guild got in, and you managed to take it. Now you only have to defend. You have to defend with 1/10 of your guild versus the remaining cap of guilds that got into that castle. So it's gonna be rough. So I definitely think that they should finally release and open up the pay on castles.
Yeah. I definitely would like to see them because I've never seen them at all on NA.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and pick the next question, Ty, before we move on.
Oh, I think you should because your question chat doesn't update quick enough for me.
Okay. Okay. So Don just asked him. I was wondering what's the minimum specs required on PC. I actually don't know, but I think they have it on their website, Don. But from vaguely how I remember it, not very high. Let's see. And then Lugnika says, does 1k points in Yan Jar doubled also in OBT, or only for those who gets to 5k and above? It's if your Nyan Jar from 0 to 5k basically gets doubled. But it's after you spend 5k, so it's like 5,001 and higher, it's only going to be 1.5x, not double. So hopefully that answers that. What's the next question here? You want to read that one, Ty? The next one?
Yeah, sure. VX20 asks, why do we need to play ROO? What makes it different than with the other oh gosh, let me rewrite this question. Why do we need to play ROO? What makes it different than the other Ragnaroks?
So we kind of answered this a little bit earlier with the previous questions, but here's their official answer. First, we are the official sequel to Ragnarok Online. You can find our game on GGH's official site. Second, we offer effective and efficient customer service, which I have to give them kudos. A lot of the questions, a lot of the queries that we had have been answered incredibly fast. I don't think it's even reached 24 hours before somebody manages to answer your questions. So has been very impressive so far. And they said third, we have been and will always be listening to the voice of our community, which, case in point, Hearthfire Tales. Fourth, we'll be presenting new events, game features, expansions, classes, game modes, etc. on a frequent basis. And then fifth, we'll hold on-ground esport tournaments constantly. Oof. How constantly is constantly? Like throughout the year? I mean, they have the major leagues. Yeah. So they're going to have like a major league and then eventually a world's tournament is what I would think for that.
Mm-hmm.
But the fourth one is actually one of the best ones here. The new events, game features, expansions, and all that is going to be refreshing since we basically all we got in NA was basically recycled content over and over and over, and there was no innovation after a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if you were a big fan of the original Ragnarok, ROO is the closest to what that was.
All right, so any other thoughts on the other points there, Thai, before we go to questions?
No.
No? Okay, so Tommy said, will there be more challenging MVP in the near future? The best time and the most fun times is going to be the start, where you are going to be having a lot of trouble with the MVPs, and then they gradually become harder. Easier and easier. But then new MVPs are released, and those become a lot more challenging until eventually we outgear them, and then in the future, even more MVPs will come out. Like we don't even have Satan Marok yet. We don't even have Thanatos yet, and all these other MVPs that we know and love from RO1. So I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody Pretty asks, do you think Knight will be even more useless now that there's
no.
Earth Lord that could tank all the MVPs and monsters? Oh my god, we're being a dead horse at this, or dead Peko at this rate. But what do you think they'll be?
I really hope that global devs will consider balancing Knight so people don't feel that way.
Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully that's where the balancing thing that they're gonna mention. And say one of the official community managers, by the way, in the ROO Discord, Saya, asks Earth Lord or Danelle. What's your personal choice?
For me, Earth Lord.
Earth Lord? Yeah. I'm a
Well, because
little.
I do play priest, so.
Yeah, true. I'm a little 50-50 on this one because like Earth Lord will always be useful for AoE classes all the way to late game. Danelle, however, number one, will carry you through the mid game of like I believe level 1 to level 60 mobs, 65 mobs. And that's just the base Danelle. Not only that, because the skills are auto for melee single target classes like Bonk Priest, for example, when you're doing MR, a Danelle would actually help you a lot in the early stages of doing MR. So it has its uses in the early game, but overall, Earth Lord wins out in the end. And the last question we're going to answer before we move on, Vinci is asking how many weapon fragments do you need to craft level 50 in Global? I'm playing Free Life Origin right now, and a two-hand weapon needs 100 fragments. In NA, you need 70 fragments. In Global, guess what? You need 15. 1-5. Doing your first two Helheim hard dungeons on day 1 will actually get you not only your weapon, but a piece of armor. And by day 2, you'll have your full set of armor. So, another reason why people are moving over to Global from other servers. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one here, which is... You're gonna have to read this one.
Oh gosh.
Okay, I'll read the question. Can I get girlfriend in ROO?
Answer is I found my girlfriend in ROO, so.
Now this is this is an ongoing meme in Ragnarok Online Origins in NA that people have been saying that Ragnarok is low-key a dating game, which is kind of true. It is true.
You can say that about any MMO.
Yeah, any MMO. But RO is the one game that I've seen people actually get married. And I've played a lot of MMORPGs for a very prolonged amount of time. And something about maybe the community aspect of RO just kind of breeds healthy, long-lasting relationships. I don't know, man. Maybe, yeah, if you're looking for love, Ragnarok Online is your best bet. I don't know.
Well, also, I would advise not playing just strictly for looking for a date.
Yeah.
I would also kind of creep some people out.
Yeah, it would creep a lot of people out, and also, you never know if you're gonna get catfished, so just be very careful when it comes to that stuff.
I've heard stories about like people being catfished in ROO and like losing like a very expensive gear, at least classic RO.
And I mean, it's just generally just you should always be careful with things like that online. I have a throwback story back in RO1 where I had a kind of like a mutual understanding with this girl that I played with. We were from the same city, and we hit it off. We you know, we kind of like were in the dating phase. We were almost going to be officially together, and then I received a message from another person that turned out to be her current boyfriend.
Oh
And
no.
it turns out that they were having a very rough patch in their relationship. But he said, and I'm going to try to like paraphrase here, but he basically said that, hey, I know that you and her name was Angel are hitting off together, but and I'm sure you're a good person and you probably just never didn't know this, but I'm actually her boyfriend, and we are having a huge argument right now, and there is a chance that we're gonna be breaking up, but I would like to at least have a fighting chance. And I, in my head at the time, I was just thinking, well, I wouldn't want this to happen to me, so let me just
Mhm.
like avoid that karma, and I just told him, I told him like, all right, I'm going to back off. You guys try to fix it if you can. And then I thought in my head, I mean, I didn't think about it at the time because I was so like at the time infatuated with this girl, because not, you know, at the time I was like, oh, she's really cute and she plays Ragnarok online. Oh, this is the perfect fantasy. But it also kind of told me and taught me like an early life lesson as a young kid, that you can't really trust everybody in online games, even if you guys are from the same city, even if you've already met them in real life,
Mhm.
because you never know if somebody could or would eventually do the same thing to you. So it's
Yeah.
always good to kind of just be wary or
Yeah.
about these things. Yeah.
Yeah, just be careful and safe because there are a lot of people who do play MMOs just to have like a they have like a quote unquote end game like husbando waifu. So yeah, just be wary.
Yeah. Just be careful. I mean, again, from my experience, I've seen a very high success rate.
I feel like my experiences on RO in general have always just been weird.
Oh my! I mean, yeah,
Um
it's. Oh god. Go
yeah, that's
ahead. Go
why I
ahead.
say just don't be creepy. Like don't just play the game. Don't think of it as like a dating game. Just play it naturally. Cause yeah, I've had like guys who just like throw themselves at me even though I'm not like leading them on or anything. And
Yeah,
then
they just.
they'll kind of stalk you and then like try to like push you into being in a relationship when you like stated no. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I'm just here to play a game.
Yeah. The thing about it is the healthiest way that you could go about it is go into the game to play the game to enjoy the game, and if you happen to be a part of a community, and you happen to enjoy the game with somebody who happens to be in the same schedule as you guys do everything together, maybe eventually that might blossom into something else, but it is always just healthy to have zero expectation. And if
Mhm.
it happens organically, then it happens organically. If it
Yeah.
doesn't, don't try to force it, because number one, you're gonna make it really hard for the other person, and number two, you're probably gonna ruin a friendship that otherwise would have been a really good friendship, born from the same interest and born from
Mhm.
having the same game, and you know, a friend that you could probably play other MMORPGs with in the future. So just, you know,
Yeah.
try not to ruin that for yourself.
And also you could ruin like the game in general for someone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So just, you know, just keep that in mind always. I know that sometimes it's really, a lot of people get really infatuated because like, hey, so and so is really cute in real life, and she or he also has the same interests as me. Try to make it like, try to really try your best to just hold it in a little bit. And you know, because like relationships like that don't really blossom unless it's something that's organic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, hopefully that answers the whole thing about about like finding your wife in
Yeah. I mean,
uh,
just low expectations.
let's see. Let's tackle some questions before we move on over here. Let's see. Somebody asked, ROO is better than Tinder. I mean, ROO probably has a better organic relationship build up than Tinder.
Yeah, I think just based on like you guys having a similar interest,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
also don't rely heavily on it.
But yeah, again, go into the expectation that you're playing a game to have fun, and you're gonna be playing it with people who play the game to have fun. And you know, if something organically happens, something organically happens. Try not to force it because not only in game but also in real life, that's usually how you mess it up for yourself. So there you go. Sato said, so he logged into RO to Pika Hugh. Oh no, no. At the time, I was in a competitive team, so I was. Any other questions we can answer before we move on? We'll take one more. M. Mozart says, how deep is the mechanism of ROO? Will the gameplay loop be rinse and repeat? To some degree, yes. I mean, any MMORPG you play, you're always gonna have your like your dailies, stuff that you do every day, and then all the other stuff is optional if you want to do that. Regardless, if you like, if you want to keep joining PvP rooms, if you want to keep just mingling with your community, that's always an option. But what do you think about that question, Thai? How deep is the mechanism of ROO, and will the gameplay loop be rinse and repeat?
um, yeah, it's like any other game nowadays where it has a set of dailies. So there is some repetition of what you have to do in game.
Mm-hmm.
But the mechanics themselves, I guess it's like if you played classic RO, it's very similar and like with any game, it depending on what class you are, like it's how deep you are invested in learning how the mechanics work. But outside of that, yeah, it's just a lot of rinse and repeating the same dailies every day.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, the whole nature of RO, even since like the early days, was that it puts a lot of emphasis on your positioning. There are some
Mhm.
very crazy mechanical plays you could make. Let's say with like Sage, with like canceling somebody's cast fast enough. That requires some really fast hands, and there's a lot of outplay potential there. There's a lot of positioning. There's a lot of like playmaking that you can do, but you know like that's pretty much what the focus of the game is when it comes to that one. So we'll move on to the next one here. Oh, well, actually, this one we answered this earlier already. Payment methods. Yes, there will be more payment methods available in OBT. But this next one right here is: will there be tournaments like Guild versus Guild that will have cash prizes, or be the likes of esports gaming tournament?
The answer is yes. There will be guild versus guild tournaments with cash prizes.
Actual cash prizes. So man,
Yeah, I was surprised to see them say that.
yeah. So we can move on to the next one because this one we kind of answered earlier already. The will there be country specific costumes?
Um,
And
sorry. The answer is yes. There will be specific costumes, many of them.
yeah. So again, kind of tackled this one earlier already. Hopefully, we do see a lot of variation when it comes to representation of Southeast Asian countries in RO, which it always really has been really good at. So we'll see what they have in store for sure.
Mhm.
And let's take in one more question before we move on. Spanky said, do you think 30 minutes daily Freya is enough, like 180 minutes in previous server daily? I think it's enough, 30 minutes, because in Root 1.0, even though we had more Freya or Monster Annihilation, which is called now, it wasn't 6x like it is right now. So it ends up being better because it's a higher rate, and also it takes less time than it did before, which honestly is very respectful of people's times. I know it's mostly auto, but you know, taking less total time to do all your dailies is pretty huge in my opinion. Here, what's the next question, Ty?
Next question is to the devs. Are you guys going to have catch-up mechanics for people who will play the game 2 to 3 months late? And also for people that will come back after they take a break for a long time?
Okay, and their answer to this is yes, there is an EXP boost feature that helps new and returning players to catch up to their levels. It increases players' XP gain by a huge percent as long as their level is lower than the server level. This is something that has always been inherent with ROO, where the higher the server level, the more EXP people will get, the lower level they are compared to the current server level. But not only that, this has always been a huge issue with NA and KR, right? Where the fragments that you need to craft your gear in global within a day, you can get your weapon, and you can also get a piece of armor, and by day 2 you'll have a full set of armor and your weapon. In NA, it takes you you need 70 of these level 50 blueprints. So right now, if you're a newbie in NA, people are giving you advice like, yeah, just wait till level 90 to get your level 90 gear, save up your fragments. But then what does that do to the new player experience? They have to wear level 50 gear until they get to level 90, or level 70 gear until they get to level 90, when level 80 and level 90 respectively are both huge power spikes for every class. So that has something that to this day still boggles my mind, why NA has not made that change. And it just kind of tells me that like there's just no effort towards player retention, and when it comes to new players in those versions of the game, which is probably a huge part as to why it's dying. It just cannot retain new players. The further along the game goes, the harder it is for new players to catch up in terms of gear. And you know, at the same time, it's like players don't want to wait 2 months just to get gear that's 20 levels, 30 levels lower than, you know, the current player base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for them to definitely catch up with the gear at least.
Yeah. So we'll take another question again before we move on. What is the map dynamics in ROO Global, scaling and overall design? Also, would the events be unique in nature or just gather and collect? Map dynamics in ROO Global. It pretty much functions the same as RO1. You know, you have your, this is, I mean, you can kind of see the scope of the map around here, and then you have your world map as well. It can show you what the maps look like. And in terms of events, just gather and collect. Don't really see, I don't think I've ever seen an event where it's just gather and collect. No, maybe one.
Yeah, they're usually pretty different, where you actually have to actively do something.
Yeah. Like, you remember that snowball event? The snowball event was actually pretty fun.
I hated that event.
Oh, you hated that? Oh yeah, because I was trying to bully you.
But yeah, but it is a unique event.
Yeah.
Where it's basically a snowball fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they do have more interactive events.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, which is there a chance where guild to guild events will take into a national tournament for all regions to gather up? This one, I think they've answered this earlier already, right? Like, where there will be cross-national.
Yeah, I think we can just lump that together.
Yeah. The second to the last one that we have for the night is, so I heard the OBT will be delayed. Is that true?
The answer for that is bug fixing if Wait, bug fixing goes smoothly. We cannot tell you the exact date now, but we can confirm that OBT will not be delayed.
Will not be delayed. All right. So I mean that's they said it was earlier than you anticipated earlier, and now they're saying as well that it will not be delayed. So we can definitely expect early April, first week of April. Yeah. So before we move on to the last part of this one, we'll pick up some questions here. Is a knight a good job for free-to-play players? If so, what build? How do I let him down gently here? No, it's not. It's not at all. It's not good for free-to-play. It's not good for WoW either. Don't play knight. Unless you want to roleplay being a knight. Do you guys think we might experience server lags with the amount of people who pre-registered? I don't know about your experience time, but when I first logged in with there being like 42 channels, which tells you there's a ton of people in the same map, I didn't experience any lag at all. Like, no lag whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't experience any lag either.
Yeah. So, and that's coming from two people that are in NA. Batman, is she a game master? No, we are both content creators that are part of the Dynasty community, and we are doing this podcast episode for everybody to kind of listen to when it comes to events that pertain to the game. Let's see, going back to the knights with the current meta though, will they still be useless given that only 2 to 1 are still available? They always have been and have consistently been useless after the early game. They have some use in the mid game, but with Earth Lords being a thing now, knights are just not a good choice. And then the last one before we move on, when is super novice and baby class coming or implemented? We have no idea. No idea just yet. We haven't heard of news of them either. So yeah. All right, so let's move on to the last part.
The last question is, removing pet system for PvP system is a... Oh, it's not a question. It's more of a statement. Removing pet system for PvP system is a good idea.
Yeah, and their answer to this one is we are planning to implement a new feature which will allow players to preset their builds and compete in absolutely fair fights. There will be no level, no equipment, card, or pet advantages. Huge. The only things that matter in this new mode should be your skills, builds, team compositions, and teamwork. We'll announce, and they said that we'll announce more details once it is ready. They're saying, and will always be listening to your voice, adventurers. Together, we make ROO a better game. And this is huge because they don't.
I think that goes back to someone's question too of like a fair fight.
Yeah. Which is always good. It's always a good sign. They're starting to follow a system that's very similar, or pretty much like almost the same as Noah's Heart, which is a game that I believe had a really good system when it came to free to play players, and I think it's moving in a step in the right direction when you have balanced PvP. Like War of Imperium doesn't have to be balanced because like you also have to let your whales enjoy their investment. But when it comes to like arenas, 3v3s, 5v5s, to make it balanced would be pretty insane. And
yeah, that would be really big.
Yeah, it's just healthy for the game. And yeah, so that pretty much concludes all the questions that we have. We'll take a couple more questions before we end the podcast. And let's see here. Because I hope there will be a repeat for some events in a day. Players that don't have the luxury to play in a certain time. That's kind of hard because then it gives an even bigger advantage to people that can do it. And that would be rough for certain things that have rankings as well. But let's see what they can implement.
Yeah, I think for like some events, they do have time slots, but not all events have that.
Yeah. Aaron Wazard asks, although I haven't played this game before, but I played many other MMOs. But as per you guys, not knights are not a class worth playing. Would this be persistent in global? If so, what's the point of it? Knights just don't have a good place in the meta at the moment. They're very good early game, really up there with the early game. They're pretty decent mid game, but they fall off pretty hard into the late game. Now, with the talks of third jobs, that could change drastically once Rune Knights come out, because Rune Knights were a pretty huge power spike in Ragnarok 1. And so that's their saving grace, or whatever balancing that the devs were talking about when it comes to the data that they receive. So we can only wait and see.
Yeah, we can only hope that they do fix knights.
They've already received some buffs in Taiwan, so that comes through. If that's not enough, then maybe something to help them be more competitive.
Then yeah, that's we can be hopeful then.
And lastly, Tommy, does global have language options? As far as I know, it has 3. It is between English, Chinese, and Thai. So that pretty much concludes the episode 2 of the Dynasty Podcast with myself and Thai. Thai, any closing statements before we head off?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so
I'm terrible at being put on the spot.
All right, we'll work on that going forward, because honestly, I don't know either.
Thank you everyone for hanging out with us and listening to the podcast.
Yep, and then again, well, hopefully we'll see you guys again next Sunday when we do the episode 3 of the podcast, and maybe we can bring somebody into Discord voice and kind of bring in a new perspective when it comes to the game. But yeah, that's it pretty much. Episode 2, Dynasty Podcast. We'll see you guys next Sunday. And Thai, if you have any links that you want to do, or any events that you're doing soon, or your stream schedule that you want to share with the stream right now before we head out.
Well, if you would like
Feel
to
free.
follow me on Twitch, you can follow me at Thymine at Twitch, and I usually stream working on art, Monster Hunter, and Final Fantasy.
All right, and that's twitch.tv/THYMINET, and it's also in the title of our stream. So if you want to go ahead and check her out, go ahead and check her out. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. Check out her Linktree. She has her own website. If you want art done, if you want emotes done, if you want anything done when it comes to art, go ahead and check her out. She's amazing. She's great. And she is also responsible for my Discord profile picture. So, all right, guys. Yeah, we'll see you guys next Sunday. Thanks for coming out. And
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Goodbye.